First of all, my name is Guy Berlando. I am a C6 here with CILI by Design. Been here with from the very beginning with my wife, Elka. I was in the military for 20 years. I flew F-16 fighters during that time frame. And then I transitioned over to Southwest Airlines and was the captain there as well. I retired 7 years early because of this amazing business opportunity that everybody here has. We moved up here to Keystone, Colorado, is where we currently live. I've also written a best-selling book from Amazon. It's on Amazon, and it's called Discovering Your Authentic Truth. Now, the other part of this is I've also been around Brad Hager for over 20 years. My wife and I have. And we've gotten a lot of this training. A lot of what you're going to hear from today is a lot of his philosophy that we've absorbed over the years. A little bit also will be from my own personal experience. What have I found that works and what doesn't work? And just to make it better and more smooth for everybody. We're all here to make a difference. Some people are here to make a difference with this product. I know they're very product driven, and some people are here for the money and very business driven. But here's the thing about three-way calling and this concept of BAM-FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. It doesn't matter if you're product oriented, business oriented, these three-way calls are absolutely powerful, especially when done correctly. You know, people come here with a myriad of experiences and backgrounds. Some people come here with a lot of experience in network marketing, for instance. They've been doing three ways most of their network marketing career, but then I'll explain how we do three ways and they're like, whoa, I never really understood it that way. And then you've got other people, probably the majority that come here that have no network marketing experience. Maybe they just got excited about the product and they started using the product and it really helped them. And they're like, and then the person that shared the product with them is like, well, you know, if you want to share it with others, you can make money here too. And so they've got no real sales background. They don't have any network marketing background per se. However, as they start growing, they want to start making money, or they want to be able to share this product with somebody they know it could really help them. And the challenge is when you're working with warm market, particularly, you know, this is going to work with cold market as well, but we're going to be primarily focused on warm market or people, acquaintances. The challenge is they know you, right? And the challenge that comes with it, they know you, they don't know you. They may know you as a great mom. They may know you as a great, executive at your work, but they don't know you as a business owner, right? And now you're trying to talk to them about a business owner, being a business owner and how to make money, right? Or maybe they know of you as always having financial issues. So that they're going to take that advice from you. And that's where that third party can really come in. How about product, right? They known you as somebody that's never really taken care of your health. And now you're trying to tell them all about the latest and greatest that's going on in the health and wellness industry. So, you know, there's lots of reasons why this three-way call can work. And we're going to get into all that. And here's probably the biggest one that I've come to realize over the years. When people tell me that, oh, this doesn't work, or I can't get my business to grow, or somebody quits, and you scratch your head and you think back, because me as a leader here with a large team, and I'll look back at a person that says, oh, this doesn't work, or this, you know, they quit, you know, I noticed they stopped their auto ship, whatever. And then I'll scratch my head and I'll go, how many three ways have I done for them in the last year? And the general answer is going to be 0 to 1, maybe 2 at best. All right. And that tells me a lot about a person's desire, because if they have a strong desire to build this business, once, especially they have this information, then there's no excuse not to be able to build this business, because everybody, they could meet somebody on the street today and say, oh my gosh, you got to meet this guy. I got somebody I want to introduce you to, because they're talking about their back pains. Instead of you trying to do all the work yourself, get them on the phone with your upline, your plugged in upline, let them do the work for you. All right. That's what we're here for. That's what this makes this industry so phenomenal, is that yes, you're in business for yourself, but you got a whole team of people here that are doing everything they can to try to help you and want to help you succeed. So ask that self of yourself, how many three-way calls have I done with my upline in the last month, in the last week, in the last year? All right. You know, Brad has a success formula. You share the plan 1 to 3 times a week. you make a little bit of money. You do it 3 to 5 times a week, you make a little bit more money. If you're sharing that plan 5 to 7 or more times per week, you make the big money. And that's being consistent every single week. And as I was thinking about that and putting this training together, I was thinking about that success formula. And I will tell you what, that exactly applies to three-way calls. If you're, as an upline, are not doing 1 to 3 to 5 three-way calls per week minimum for your downline, you're not leading. If you're a newer person here, or you're looking to have the success here, and you're not doing 1 to 3 to 5 three-way calls with your upline going in the other direction, then you're missing the boat as well. The three-way calls is absolutely the most powerful tool in your entire toolbox in building this business. And many people just don't understand it, don't know how to utilize it. And, so I'll get a little bit more into this for sure. We're going to discuss why it's so vital. We're going to think about a commercial, or you think about that magazine article and you see that actor or the model standing there in a lab coat. I mean, there's a book, I just read a book not too long ago talking about this very thing, and about how that brings instant credibility. Now, the person look at that magazine ad, or looking at that TV commercial, or, the professional athlete endorsement and stuff like that, they don't know that person. But because they see that picture or they see that commercial, all of a sudden it brings a sort of instant credibility to it. And that is a little bit of that philosophy that we're bringing in here with that three-way call. You bring the trust because the person knows you, but the upline, the person that's going to do the three-way call for you, holy cow, they bring credibility because of your edification, which we're going to talk about. They bring knowledge. They bring experience because they've been here longer. They bring the wisdom, and also wisdom on how to maneuver the three-way call to have the greatest success outcome. And if you're brand new with building a team and you've never been on the one that they're calling, and you're the upline and you're going to be doing this three-way call for them, trust me on this, you know a lot more than you're giving yourself credit for. And if you can get really good at asking questions, you can have a very successful three-way call as well. That is not going to be the intent of this training. There could be a whole nother training just on that. That would also be a great three-way call, or founders call question for the following Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, or whenever the first Wednesday is of the month. That would be a very good question to ask Brad, right? How do you maneuver a three-way call as an upline? And that would be a great, man, I might even ask it myself if no one else does, all right? So how do you get the most impact from a three-way? You set the tone in the setup. Just like Brad talks about, how's the best way to close? When do you start closing? You start closing with the invite. How you invite somebody to the webinar or to see whatever first exposure you're going to show them to is already working on the close. And the same thing is here with the three-way. The three-way begins, or the success of the three-way begins with how you set up the three-way with the person you're talking to. And I'm just going to use prospect just to make it easy, and upline for the person that's doing the three-way call with you. So for the prospect needs to know that this is valuable for them to be on that call. Let's say you were thinking about starting some sort of, let me say, I had an example and I lost it, but let's say you want to go into a business venture, for instance, right? And you were going to start a new something to do with electric cars, or with electricity. You had a new charging system, whatever, new battery, something along those lines. And you and I know each other, and guess who I also know? I know somebody named Elon Musk. And I say, hey, you know what, Susan, I got this friend of mine, Elon Musk, you may have heard of him. And he told me that if I ever came across somebody like you with an entrepreneurial mind, and they were really looking to do something revolutionary, that he would carve a few minutes out of his day to be able to talk with them. Now, Elon Musk, I don't have to do a whole lot of edification for now anymore, right? The inventor of PayPal, the SpaceX, Tesla, and a bunch of other things that he has done. So that's the credibility, right? He's bringing that credibility to the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom, and he's going to know how to maneuver that call to give you the information, Susan, as the prospect, on how to best utilize that information and move forward. If you think about the extreme, whenever I'm trying to learn something, I always go from the extremes, right? I take it to the extreme, and that's in the extreme, right? Now, we're not going to introduce you to Elon Musk and getting your CILI business going, right? But you're going to introduce them to somebody that has already had success here, and all the way up to Mr. Brad Hager, who's earned over $30 million in this industry. So that's the philosophy I want you to have kind of in the back of your mind of how you're going to set up this call. If there's enough value there, they cannot wait to get onto that three-way call. They're going to be counting down the hours, the days and the hours to be able to get on that call with that person if it's set up correctly. Here's what doesn't work really well. And I've had this happen several times in the recent few months. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to do this training. And it's okay. All right. And depending on your experience, it's okay. I mean, we can work our way out of it, but we're doing these three-way calls for you to help you build your business. So help us help you. So what doesn't work is go, hey, guy, this is Susan, the lady I told you about. Okay, great. Even though I've already should have Susan's information ahead of time, Susan should have my information. That's dead silence in there, right? What you should be doing is welcoming the people, welcoming each other. Never thank the prospect, but you do thank the upline for taking time out of his schedule or her schedule to be able to do this call. So that silence is not good. And just a simple, hi, this is Guy, take it away, is not good either. It actually puts the prospect at a higher point than the upline. And that's not what you want. Remember, we're trying to build the upline so the prospect is looking up towards the upline for the credibility, for that knowledge and wisdom. If you just say, hey, this is Guy, there's nothing, you've done nothing to elevate. In fact, you've put the prospect higher than the upline. And now the upline actually has to dig themselves out of a hole to start taking command of that conversation. All right. So that's why this is so important. It puts zero value and it just gives that prospect the advantage. And that's not what you want. The advantage is now in the prospect's hands. They think they're in control of that conversation. And unless you have an upline that has got a lot of experience, they've got to work them, it could be kind of difficult. So let's see, I got one more other thing and then we'll get going with some slides that I put together. All of this begins with BAMFAM. And I will throw this out there too. Let me just get rid of these notes. I will throw this out there too. I tend to give you all the details, all right? And to understand this is a training, right? So I'm going to give you the details. Now, don't let that prohibit you going, oh my God, I can never do all that. Just like a VGO, right? There's a lot of details that make a successful VGO. The important thing is get the information in front of people. If you do it, ways that we know work better, great. If not, great. You at least got the exposures. But again, this is trying to help you to have the greatest success possible. So don't let all this minutia that I'm about to go through deter you at all from doing a three-way. The three-way call can be as simple as, hey, Guy, I've got an amazing person on the other line, and I think this is the type of person you would really want to know. This is Bob and blah, 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 blah. And then you connect us and you go, hey, Guy, this is Bob. All right. For most of your upline people, that should work. Brad Hager, that will not work. All right. But we're not Brad Hager. We're not the owners of the company. We are here to help and serve you the best way that we can. And if you've got a hot prospect and you want to get them on the phone right away and you don't follow all this, that's great. But at least you have a basic foundation of how a powerful three-way call can be structured and can go. All right. I mean, I can tell you, we brought in a pro pack, Jeff Brown and I. Jeff Brown, we're talking. He goes, hey, wait a second. I got this guy in California. He goes, this guy's into everything. He gets me on the phone. I didn't know nothing about him at all. Right. This guy in California knew nothing about me at all. And we had this conversation. It was a very interesting 30, 40-minute conversation. That conversation ended. Jeff and him continued talking. The next time I talk to him, I'm signing him up for a $3,000 bulk order. So you just don't know. And that's what I'm saying. Don't get all drawn down in this minutia, but there is a lot of science behind the way that we have perfected a three-way call through the years of Brad Hager's trainings and understanding of building multi-million-dollar businesses. All right. So with that being set up, let me get into this. I got that out of the way. There's a process. All right. And one of the ways that we used to teach this process is in reference to baseball. Now, you might be like my wife and absolutely hate baseball. She's been to 2 Cubs games and was bored out of her mind. I mean, how can you be bored at a Cubs game, right? Well, they always lose, but anyhow, that being said, or you might love baseball. It doesn't matter. It's an analogy, all right? It's an illustration. In the game of baseball, how do you win, right, JR? How do you win in baseball? Whoever scores the most runs, that means they got to go all the way around all 3 bases, first, second, third, back to home plate, scores a run. Whoever does that more in the game of the baseball game wins that game. Now, how do you score a run? By going around all the bases. And let's use this to illustrate about how you're going to bring a prospect from not knowing anything to becoming a new member. And we're going to utilize the 2 functions, the BAM FAM, which is book a meeting from a meeting, and the 3-way call in this illustration. You want to always know your next step. And again, book a meeting from a meeting. So the concept, let me just explain the concept before I go on. Book a meeting from a meeting every time. And this is not just with prospects. This is with your members as well, especially your business building members, but with anybody. Every time you get on the phone with somebody, there should be an objective to the call, why you're calling them, or if they call you, you want to understand what they're saying. And then at the end of that call, there's another time you're going to talk with them, or you've given them, I don't want to say assignment, but you've given them a project, you've given them something to do, something to work for. Maybe it's a goal, maybe it's something. And as with a prospect, it's maybe they're going to look at this next video. Maybe they're going to get on the call with that next upline. Maybe they're going to get back with you because right now wasn't the right time to sign up. Maybe you just signed them up and you're going to get back with them to go through what we do for our teams, our Let's Go sheet, how to get them started right, or have them to watch the first what to do first training that's in your Verb app and say schedule a time so you can follow up after they've watched it. There's always a meeting to be booked from a meeting. And I know we don't like meetings. It's just a term, BAM FAM. It's the next time you're going to talk with this person. All right. And it's really critical when you're dealing with prospects. One of the things you never want to do with a prospect, the prospect says, hey, you got this great thing you want to show them. Maybe it's the Swish Basics. Maybe it's the CILI Works. And you go, hey, when are you going to be able to look at that CILI Works? Oh, I'll be able to look at it over the weekend. Okay. Who's got control? The prospect. That doesn't work. You have to be in control. Great. Oh, that's amazing. Susan, I'm so happy you're going to be able to look at it over this weekend. When do you think you'd be able to go through it? It's only take you about 10 minutes or so. You think you'd be able to get to that Saturday or Sunday? Well, probably Saturday. Well, in the morning or the afternoon, what's going to work for you to get through that? Well, probably about Saturday afternoon. Well, how about we have a call around 4 p.m. on Saturday after you've looked at that information so we can follow through. That's how you book a meeting. You give them 2 options, you nail it down to 2 more options, and then you nail it down to a couple more options. This is going to come up again when you're booking that 3-way call. So that's the process of a BAM FAM, and it's really important. So here you go. All right, batter up. And you got the prospect here. And maybe you met him on the chairlift while skiing, like Elka just did this morning. We were out at 7 a.m. skiing this morning because they had first tracks. Or maybe you're in the grocery store and you meet somebody in line and you can tell that they're kind of limping, or they got a cane, they're in some sort of pain, and you want to offer them up what we've got. right? Maybe it's you just got started and you're starting to go through. You imported all your contacts into your verb app and you're starting to go through and call them. All right. So what's the next step, right? We're always thinking, what's the next step that we're going to do? So contact and invite. You're going to present them with information, some sort of information. The contact and invite is a whole nother separate training. That's why I'm saying each one of these bases, I could do an hour-long training at least on every one of these bases, to include the prospects. How do you find your prospects? How do you get your prospects? How do you move your prospects through the process, right? What are you going to show them? And how do you do a proper contact? How do you do a proper invite? Each one of these modules I'm going to go through is a separate training in itself. But the concept of this training call is about the three-way call and how do you book that meeting from a meeting and why that's so important. So one of the things that we have, of course, is all sorts of different information. We have one-on-ones where you meet with the person at a coffee shop. You could do a two-on-one where you bring your upline with you to meet with this person. You could do an in-house party, right? An in-home party. I don't have it on here, but that's definitely one of them, right? We used to call them a PBR, a private business reception. I actually had it on here and I took it off, but a private business reception. All right. So if you got somebody that really loves just throwing a party, that's the best way. That is by far the very best way, because you got a whole bunch of people in there at once. And you get to present all of them to them, and it's all face to face. The second best to that is the VGO, the virtual grand opening. That might be something else you send them to. Maybe it's the webinar. You can invite them to, I know we've got on our team, we've got a couple people doing weekly webinars. And on Sunday night, I do one for the entire CILI nation. So everybody in CILI can invite on that Sunday night webinar. So maybe you invite them to there. Maybe you do an executive lunch. Executive lunches are very powerful. That's a whole training in itself as well. And they're very, very powerful, and they're very successful. That basically you have a lunch and then you share the plan with the people that are invited to there. There's the business briefing, right, at the hotel meeting lobby, or meeting room, if you will, where you invite a whole bunch of people in. You got several members working this together, and you invite somebody there. There's just so many ways to give them exposure. And then there's all the social media, or all the media posts, right? We have all these different links and stuff. And I'm going to stop share real quick. So I want to bring this up for our team. I put something together. Well, I need to go back into share. Well, a second. This just took up my entire screen. I put something together for our team. And if anybody would like this, I'll be, just let me know. I'll be happy to email it out to you or get it to Laura or Sarah if you're in her team. And it's, what do you do now, right? You got somebody started. What do you do now? We've got a what to do first sheet. We've got our let's go sheet that I've also done trainings on. But now this person's new. What do? Right? They got somebody that's interested in the money, the business. Well, I've got a couple different things that maybe you want to send them, or they're more product oriented. And I've got a bunch of different links in here and things that are in the verb training, the CILI product call that we do every Thursday night. And look at that, even a three-way call is on this list. So this is just a bunch of different ways that a brand new person that knows nothing has options to be able to send somebody information right off the bat. So go back to this. Okay. So that's what this what now is about. All right. So it's just different ways to share the information, contact, invite. So now you got them the information and they've seen it, and you get back on the phone with them and they're not ready to move forward. Now what do you do? Well, there's lots of options. And if you're brand new, the one thing you don't want to do is try to close this person on your own. This is where the third party credibility, the lab coat, if you will, is going to come into play. All right. So what you want to do is what we call BAM FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. So you get back on that. You already booked a meeting. Every one of these steps is a book a meeting from a meeting, right? Because you gave them information, you followed up with them, and now you're following up with them, and now you're discovering that the person's not ready to move forward. I will say 7 out of 10 times, you can just send them more information. Well, I had a question about this. I had a question about that. That's great. And you could send them additional information. But to speed up the process, three-way call, three-way call, three-way call, three-way call. All right. So you BAM FAM, you're following up with them right from this presentation. You gave them some information. You're following up with them. Now you set up that second exposure with the three-way call. All right. So you're going to edify the person to this person, the prospect, to make them want to get on the call, this three-way call, like they cannot wait. That's how powerful this edification is going to be. Then you're going to book it. And we're going to go through and some steps on how to do that. And then you're actually going to have the three-way call with that prospect. And I will tell you that if the upline's on their game, more times than not, you will close the prospect after that first three-way call. And if it doesn't close, guess what? We go through this whole process again. Let's say the prospect's Susan, your name is Bob, and Bob gives me gives his upline Julie a call. All right. So we got the prospect to Bob to Julie is the first upline. And Julie doesn't close him. Or yeah, Susan doesn't close Susan. So then what does Julie do? Julie can set it up with Steve. And we go around the base. Julie goes, hey, here's to answer your questions. Maybe you can look at this. Bob, when can you guys get together and follow up? We bam fam into that, and we're going to get you on the call with Steve. And Steve is this person, right? We're going to edify the hell out of Steve. And so we're going to get this appointment set up while we're on trying to close this person the first time on the first three-way. If that doesn't work, now we get him on the call with Steve. And if Steve can't do it, we can go to the next upline, go round the bases again. All right. It's a process. It's not going to always work the very first time. But when you put a person in process, or you have 2, 3 of these going on at once, you got a lot of runs coming in, because eventually you're going to have that new member. All right. If these are done right. So how do we set these things up right? The three-way call, people tend to forget 90% of what they see and hear within 48 hours. All right. So they saw the Sunday night webinar. Oh yeah, that looked great, but you didn't follow up with them right afterwards. All right. You were waiting for them. You had a guest on there. You were waiting for them to call you. They never called. And then Monday goes by, you call them, they don't respond. And Tuesday goes by. And finally, Wednesday, you guys get together. Well, they've forgotten most of what they've already heard. If you think about that iron in the fire, and then you remove it from the fire, or you're sitting around a fire in the winter time, and everybody gets their chair real close, somebody throws a new log on, everybody backs away from the fire. Well, understand, as that fire burns during the webinar, they're hot. All right. And as that wood continues to burn down, they cool off. So the follow-up and how the expedition of all this, if they say, when can you do this three-way call, and it's Saturday today, and they say, oh, next week, Saturday, that's too long, folks. You got to put that sense of urgency, right? The same thing for every invite, for every contact and invite, a value, sense of urgency, and a takeaway and a call to action. All right. So those need to be in there even for this. So yeah, you got to keep it going. Keep the prospect moving through the process. Third-party validation, especially for your warm market. With the warm market, there's trust. With the third party, there's that credibility. Warm market may disclose information to your upline they would never disclose to you. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten off a three-way and the person goes, I didn't know that. Right? So that's very important. There is not, and you might get to the real underlying objection as well. There is not an overlay of relationship. They don't feel like they have to be doing this for you. You don't have the, friends becoming business partner friction in there as much. They're listening to somebody else that's painting the picture for them. Warm market is often more comfortable making a yes with somebody they don't know than with somebody they do know. Believe it or not, this is all proven. Let's warm market realize that it's bigger than just you. And that is really, really critical. Again, they know you, they may trust you, but really, what is all this? And when you get an upline on there and they're painting that bigger picture for you, or for the prospect, then they realize that this isn't just some little thing. All right. Especially if we start working up to people like Laura, myself, Susan, Brad, they understand that this is a real business. All right. The three-way call it. Well, I don't know why that did that. Okay. Edification. One of the most underrated skills in our business, as well as any business, or even in your personal life, is edification. And that is a quote from a book. So yeah, it's not me saying this. It is absolutely the truth. And that's why, hey, Guy, or hey, Steve, this is Guy, doesn't work. All right. There's no edification in there. Now we're going to get into a little bit more detail, and it gives the ability to give value to the person you're introducing. And when you introduce a member of your upline to your prospect, the more value you place on that person, the more credibility that they're going to bring, and the more they're going to listen to the information that's being presented. Again, go back to that earlier example. Hey, Steve, this is Guy. Or, hey, Susan, this is Elon Musk, right? With all the credibility and edification that's been behind Elon Musk. It's a total different, that Susan's going to be on every breath of Elon Musk, what's coming out of Elon Musk. But if Susan just knows me as Guy, there's nothing there. Why is she going to listen to me? So the edification is giving them that reason to not only want to be on the call, but also listen to the information that's going to be passed along. Know your upline. I can't express this enough either, right? This goes both ways. We should know our downline, but the downline should know their upline as well, especially the person that you're going to introduce. These are critical. Again, if you're taking notes, I highly encourage you to, even though it's going to be recorded, but their professional background. Time in network marketing. What's their experience level in network marketing? Where do they live? How long have they been with the company? Any special recognitions such as rank or top income earner for whatever, or top rank, top leader. They have their team is growing at an incredibly rate. You know, what kind of leadership roles do they have? And then this is the information you're going to use for the edification before the three-way. Hey, you got to meet this guy. This guy, Guy Berlando, man, he was in the military for 20 plus years. Why is that important? It's got an underlying theme of leadership, responsibility, credibility, service. There's a whole bunch of things that go in that. So when you're introducing, you're going through your upline, find powerful bullet points that they can use. Maybe they're a homemaker, a housewife, or a spouse. I don't know what the politically correct terminology is these days. I don't want to get in trouble and spears thrown at me. But the mom or the wife is at home taking care of the 3 or 4 kids, all right? And she takes care of all the household duties. That's a huge responsibility. And if you edify that correctly, that can be a powerful edification, all right, in itself. So just understand your upline and be creative on how you can make that very powerful. I mean, think about the responsibility for that role. I gotta be careful for that role in the home, right? I mean, maybe it's the stay-at-home dad. It doesn't matter. All right. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility in there. And maybe they're I don't know, a factory worker, but you can find things about that, what they do in their job description that's powerful and worded properly. Is going to get the person excited. But then also their success here in CILI by design, their background in network marketing. Maybe they're also fairly new, right? This is your first upline that you're going to. In other words, you don't want to jump straight to the top. You want to use that chain of solutions training Brad talked about back in November. You want to use that chain and eventually get to the higher, because if you jump right up to the top person right off the bat, you got nowhere else to go. But if you use, I think I said Julie before, and then Steve, and maybe Bob, and then Laura, you've got a place to go, right? But if you're starting right out with Laura, the only other place you got really to go to is Brad, maybe Sarah, but primarily to Brad, right? And that there's not a lot of wiggle room to go around those bases multiple times. So that's just kind of important to understand. So it doesn't matter, even if they're brand new in network marketing, you build up their other roles or their other successes in life, whatever they may be. All right, you get the point. And then we got to inform the upline at some point, right? That we got this 3-way call we want to do. So you got to get a set of time. Now, the way to do this, like I said earlier, let's say we're talking with, let's say I just make this easy. I'm setting up the 3-way. I've got Sue, and I'm going to be setting this up with Brad, okay, or Sarah. Let's use Sarah. So I've got this prospect, Sue, and I'm going to be setting this with my upline, Sarah, who's in UK. So totally different time zone, right? So this could be an issue, right, for people as well. I've got a team in Europe, and they're trying to do a three-way with me here in the States. It's important to know time zones. Smartphones are amazing. You can get any time you want, time zone you need. All right. So how does this work? Hey, Sue, we're kind of seem to be at a stumbling block right now. What do you say about this? I've got somebody that I work with in this company. She is the top position in this entire company. Now, this lady has got over 20 years of experience in this industry. So any question you have about this industry or about our company and how we fit in this industry, she's going to be able to answer that for you. Absolutely. She's also earned over $1 million in this industry. She's worked with a lot of people. She's handled a lot of different situations. And maybe I know what this particular situation is with Sue. And so, Sue, I know Sarah is going to be able to at least address and really help you out. She may not give you the answer you're looking for, but I tell you what, with her experience and her knowledge and her wisdom, she's going to be able to get you to a point that with a much better understanding of what we have here. How does that sound to you? And then Sue goes, yeah, I'd love to get on the phone with this lady. And they go, great. Well, Sue, just so you know, Sarah lives over in the UK. So we've got a time difference thing. And so what would work really good is if I can get a couple times from you. First of all, let's get a couple days. Is Tuesday or Wednesday going to be better for you? And she says Tuesday. Great, Tuesday. All right. Well, they're about 7 hours in front of us. So would you be able to do like 9 a.m. or would 10 or like around noon be better for you? All right. Or I might say is morning or afternoon if everybody's on the same time zone. That's another way to work it. Anyhow, you want to get 2 days. Preferably. So Tuesday at noon. Great. Now, if she's not available then, what about Wednesday? Is there a good time on Wednesday? Oh yeah, Wednesday at 9. Great. Now I've got 2 possible places to fit Sue into a 3-way with Sarah. What else is this doing? Even if I knew Sarah's schedule, I am adding value into the upline just in how I am booking that appointment. I hope you guys understood that and kind of follow that gist. I'm not going to go back through it. I don't have enough time. You want to pass the details of the prospect. So this is where you're going to get on the phone. I get on the phone with Sarah. Sarah, hey, I got this lady, Sue. She's got 5 years network marketing experience. She's built a team of about 5,000 people. She's earned in excess of $10,000 a month. She's got a question about this with the binary or whatever it is. And so I'd really like for you to be able to get on a call. I got a couple dates and times. Which one of these would be best for you? And Sarah goes, well, Wednesday at 9 a.m. works perfect. I got a slot right there. Great. I will send you the Zoom link. We'll do this via Zoom. That way, if Sarah wants to, she can show some information to her and we're done, right? Isn't that great? Isn't that easy? It's not complicated, but there's a structure to it. So we get the details, full name. We want to know their Facebook profile. That way, Sarah can go to the Facebook. She's got a couple days or a day or so to go to the Facebook, start doing some research on this person so they're more informed about them, right? They can come with valid questions themselves and ask them things that relate to them. They notice they've got 3 kids on Facebook, right? Oh, hey, Sue, I noticed that you got 3 kids. How are they doing? Or, what are they into or whatever. If they're little, you can have a conversation that way. If they're growing, they're successful or they're in college or whatever else. Hey, Sue, man, congratulations on the success that you've had with your kids. So it gives the upline information that they can use during this 3-way call. How do you know this person? Did you meet them at the supermarket? Or are they a close personal friend of yours? Or are they an acquaintance from work, right? Their professional background, if they're not a professional network marketer, are they a doctor? Are they a stay-at-home mom? Are they a 9-to-5 job type of person? What kind of income are they typically making? Do they have network marketing experience? Current companies, their income size, a personal team. The more information you can feed to the upline, the better it's going to be for you. Again, we're trying to help you. Now, some people may be afraid to ask some of these very important questions, but I will tell you, the person on the other end will appreciate it, especially if they got network marketing experience, because they're expecting this. And if you're not doing this, there's a lack of, hey, can this person lead me to where I want to go? Yeah. So even though this is about, if these questions look like, man, I could never ask a person that, then you realize why you are where you're at. If you're not making $10,000 a month, maybe this is just one of those reasons why. All right. You want to be able to step out of your comfort zone. I'm giving you a cookbook recipe on how to do that. So in other words, we're in this together, folks. All right. And we want to help guide you to be able to do this in a way that we know works. And again, going back to, hey, if you just got somebody on the phone, you want to introduce them to me and you're brand new, that's fine. We can cover all this later. But this is a foundation to understand how a positive, powerful three-way call will work. All right. What it has them looking. This is probably one of the most important questions. She's the stay-at-home mom and she's bored out of her mind. All right. Or they're working that 9-to-5 job and they cannot wait to get out of it. Or they've got a spouse, they got 2 jobs, both spouses are working because they got to support this family and their lifestyle, but they would love to be able to bring the one spouse home so they could be home with the kids all the time instead of daycare. What are those reasons that has them looking? Maybe they're in another a network marketing company right now, and they're looking for something better. They're looking for a change, or their network marketing company, there's rumbles going around, their network marketing company may be in trouble. And so they're starting to look now, or maybe they don't like working with the people that they're working with. There's a whole myriad of reasons why people move from company to company. Maybe they found a better product than the product they've been promoting because they're a product person. Lots of reasons. What have they seen thus far? Have they seen the full webinar? Have they seen CILI Works? Have they seen Switch Basics or any of the other myriad of things that we can share with them? What have they seen thus far? That's also really important. So we come to that three-way with a little bit of education on this person, and we can make it even more personal for this person. And that is the power in this three-way, especially if we're doing this over a phone. Zoom bridges the gap a little bit more because you're at least seeing the person. And if you're doing it face-to-face, even more powerful, right? But we want to have that information to help you as much as possible. And then the last one is, what's the objective of the call? Well, Sue's a top network marketer. I would love to see her coming in with a pro pack after this, with this call. So now Sarah knows where she's maneuvering this conversation. Her end game is to close her with a pro pack. Maybe I say something like this with Sarah. Well, Sarah, Sue's looking at our company. She's currently in XYZ. She's got a team, 5,000 people. She's looking at our company, and she's just not 100% sure that this is the right move for them. So the objective of this call then is, Sarah, can you please help her understand just all the value that we have here with CILI by Design? And now Sarah knows where to go with that conversation, all right? Keys to success, because we want you to be successful, all right? Probably nobody wants it more for you than your upline, all right? We really do. So prior to the call, you get most of the edification out of the way, so we're not taking up that time in the three-way call. Now, if this is a spontaneous three-way call, you have to do the edification with the prospect and upline on the call because it hasn't been set up ahead of time. But for everything else, you want to do most of that edification ahead of time. All right. A good edification, you're going to talk about who that person is, the value that they're bringing, why the prospect wants to be on the phone with him or her. All right. That is a powerful edification. If you've listened to Laura, man, I got to tell you, you kind of blow me away. You made my heart warm because Laura's been doing an amazing edification of me. I mean, again, also understand the edification is not about me. And in this case, I'm using Laura as the example. The way she's been edifying me on those product calls. It's not about me. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I don't need anybody to boost my ego. It's not about that. It's about getting the other people to listen to what I have to say. All right, just as we talked about earlier. So you want to get all that out ahead of time. Edification alone, it could be a 1-hour training. And that's another one. If somebody's taking notes, you want to ask Brad on a founder's call, hey, Brad, how do you do a good edification for somebody? All right. I think we had that like a year or two ago. So it'd behoove somebody to ask that question. There's so many questions on that founder's call. There should never be a reason for Brad to say, well, this is going to be a short call. Nobody's got a question. There's so many questions to be asked on that founder's call. Even if they've been asked, probably has been a year or two ago, it doesn't hurt to ask it again. Then the day of, the time of, let's say, I'm going to call Sarah. We said 9 a.m. on Wednesday. At 8:55 a.m. on Wednesday, I am calling. And also you want to give Sarah the correct time in England, which would be, I think, 4 p.m., right? So Sarah's only thinking 4 p.m. She's not thinking 9 a.m. Little tidbit there. And if you're working in different time zones with the same state, same thing. Give the upline the call in their time zone so they have it correct. It's your responsibility to know what time zone you're in and what the prospect is in, okay? And you can worry about that part of it. So anyhow, 5 minutes till, so 8:55, I'm calling Sue up. Hey, Sue, this is Guy, man. How's it going out there today? Oh, great. Get a little chit chat going. You want to make sure you're not going to be wasting Sarah's time. All right. You want to make sure you've got 5, 4, 3 minutes to get this person on the phone. Because if they don't answer right away, maybe they're on another call. Maybe they're in the bathroom. I don't know what it is. Maybe they forgot. Happens. You want to call them 5 minutes prior to make sure that they're going to be on the phone at 9 a.m. And when 9 a.m. rolls around, boom, you are three-waying in Sarah, or we're getting on the Zoom call, however we're doing this, right? A three-way call, Zoom call, same thing. So 5 minutes early, I'm getting on that. I'm telling Sarah, or excuse me, I told Sue that I was going to call her 5 minutes prior just to make sure we connect. And I'm going to say, hey, as a reminder, Sarah, man, I am so thankful that she is willing to take some time out of her busy schedule to have this conversation with you. And I'm really hoping at the end of this, you will see the value of what we have here with CILI by Design. From wanting to close her with a pro pack, hey, Sue, after this, I'm sure you're going to want to get started with us. And Sarah's going to show you exactly how to do that. All right, something along those lines. I'm setting it up, right? I'm helping Sarah help me, and then also help the prospect, because the end game here, the prospect is the biggest winner, because now they have gotten started in something that can absolutely change their life forever. So we're doing all this to help that prospect, right? And everybody gets helped along the way. Quick introduction. So, okay, now we dial in Sarah. Hey, Sarah, this is Guy. How you doing today? Great. Hey, guess what, Sarah? I do have Sue on the other line. Sue, Sarah, I've already kind of given you a little bit of background on Sue. And Sue, it's my pleasure, my absolute with the warmest heart imaginable. Yeah, if you fumble, it's okay too. The warmest heart imaginable to introduce you to my dear friend and business partner, Sarah Smuzz, over there in the UK. She is building a humongous business, and I'm sure she's going to be able to help you with any questions that you may have. Zip it. Sarah takes over. So Sarah, this is Sue. This is not about you edifying Sue to Sarah. I've had that happen many times. I get the, hey, this is Guy. He's a C6 with CILI by Design. But Guy, let me tell you all about Sue. Sue is this and this and this and this and that. No, you put Sue up here. You put your upline down here. Now the upline's got to work their way back up here. Don't ever do that. Sue, we're doing this for Sue, right? We're doing this for the prospect. You can say something nice about Sue. Hey, Sarah, I've known Sue for 20 years. She's been a dear friend of mine. But Sue, let me tell you about Sarah. And I'm so excited for you to be able to meet Sarah. You got more words to say about Sarah than you do your friend Sue. All right. And then you zip it. And the best way to do it, if you're doing this on a phone, you mute. And that way you will prevent any kind of interruptions. If you're doing a Zoom, you mute your mic, and that prevents any interruptions. You're like, something's going on, you want to jump in, you can't. And the reason why you don't want to interrupt the flow, the upline, remember, we know where we want to go with this conversation. They may be bringing up conversation. You're like, what the heck does this have to do with closing Sue with a pro pack? But we've got the experience, we've got the wisdom, we understand how to maneuver a conversation. We're doing this, right? Mastering the art of selling. We're helping the prospect make the decision that's going to be best for them. Maybe they're not going to want to have anything to do with this, and that's great. Save yourself a lot of time and energy, right? But maybe they want to. This book, if you don't have it, Mastering the Art of Selling, is absolutely phenomenal. We understand the psychology of this business a little bit more maybe than you do, and we're maneuvering this conversation in a way that's going to bring in that home run, or at least that's our goal, right? Your job, while you're muted, is to be taking notes. You have a pen in your hand, you have your journal or your notebook, however you take your CILI notes, and you're listening to this conversation. I will never forget one of the first 3 ways I ever did with a very successful person, $1 million plus earner, millions of dollars plus earner in this business. And I had this prospect, a good prospect, right? A lot of contacts, had influence and stuff. And I couldn't move him through the process. I was pretty much a baby here in this industry. And Susan had told me, hey, if you ever get somebody like this, let's get him on the phone. So we do this 3-way call. And I'm like, at the end of the call, I'm like, Susan, how did you do that? So then from that point forward, it wasn't so much about what was being said. It was about what were the questions and the responses that the upline and prospect, that conversation actually having. What were those questions that the upline was asking to get that person to open up the way they did and close them with a pro pack at the end of it? So use it as a learning opportunity. You're not just there for their entertainment, just sitting back and going, okay, great. If you don't have a pen in hand and taking notes, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're also being sort of disrespectful to the upline because they're taking time to help train you in this Zoom or 3-way call. Do not interrupt, only unmute if you upline asks you to. So if I'm doing a 3-way with Sarah, with Sue, I should have picked 2 S's, I apologize. But Sue with Sarah, and Sue goes, hey Guy, I know you've been in this for about a year now. What have you seen? I don't just unmute myself and introduce myself back into this conversation. No, allow Sarah. If Sarah wants me to answer that question, she's going to go, hey Guy, yeah, what have you discovered about here? What's got you the most excited about CILI? Then I unmute myself and I answer the question. Again, because the prospect may be trying to derail this conversation where Sarah's trying to lead it to at the end of the conversation. So you do not interrupt unless the upline says, yes, Guy, what about that? Or something to that effect, all right? You should have, I don't have one right here, you should have an application. Besides your journal, you also have an application, and you're ready to write. And Sue says, yeah, let's do this, Sarah. Sarah goes, great. Now, how do you spell your name? Sarah's sitting there having the conversation. You're doing the writing. All right. You're taking the order, if you will. You're doing the right. Sarah says, hey, what about the birth date? Okay, that and your email. Great. Hey, your social security, this is a 1099. If you decide to make money with this, the government's going to want their piece of the pie. So what's that social? Boom, that's done. And if you have an EIN number, they can put it in there as well. So you're going to fill out that application. Do not expect Sarah or the upline doing this call to start filling out the application. That's your job. This is your prospect, right? At the end of the call, you thank your upline. You never thank your prospect. You can say you're excited for your prospect. You're excited, Sue. Oh, Sue, I'm so excited. You saw the light. You're coming in with your big team to CILI by Design, man. This is going to be great. We're going miles. Thank you so much, Sarah, for taking the time out and helping Sue reach this positive decision in her life, whatever it is. And then boom, we're done, right? Now, we're done except for what? What? What's the next step? The BAM FAM, the book a meeting from a meeting, right? So maybe we're going to get off this call right now because we're going to let Sarah have her time back. Hey, Sue, we're going to let Sarah go, but I'm going to call you right back. That's book a meeting from a meeting right there. I'm going to call you right back. There's some information I want to pass along to you. All right. And then we get on that follow-up call. Hey, Sue, here's the information. And we're going to book another meeting from that meeting. When are you going to look at it? When can we get back on the call? When are we going to do your VGO? Let's schedule your VGO right now. I know you don't know what that is. Let's just put it down in the calendar, and we're going to work towards that. I'll explain it all here to you in a little bit. All right. And then that's if they're closed. And if they're not closed, what information we'll review. All right. Wow. That was a lot of information, wasn't it? So I'm going to stop the share here. What types of questions? Let me see if I can get in the question and answer if there's been any activity in there, if I can see it. This guy suggests doing a reminder call for the process prior to the three-way meeting. Good question, Danya. Yes and no. It depends. I don't think this day and age, it hurts to shoot a text message. Back in the day, many years ago, I would have said my answer would have been a flat out no. And that's why I'm saying it depends. If you've put enough value into it, then there should be no reason to do the reminder. The challenge was sending out a reminder, although we do it nowadays because there's just so much information. People are so freaking busy, is that people may forget. But the challenge with doing it is it also gives them a way out. Oh, Danya, thank you so much for reminding me of that. You're not going to believe this, but this just happened and they've just blown off that three-way call. Now you got to get on the phone with Sarah or your upline and say, hey, Bob just canceled at the last minute. I apologize. But as soon as they do, you want to let the upline know immediately so that they can free up their schedule. All right. So kind of yes and no on that. It depends. And you got to kind of feel your prospect out. If it's a dear friend, you know they're not going to cancel on you like that, then you may. But for the most part, you think about this as a business. You know, the dental office sends you maybe the day prior or 2 days prior. They'll send you a reminder. So maybe you want to do something like that. You know, you want to treat this as a business, not as the prospects doing a favor for you in any way, shape, or form, because they're not. You're doing them the favor by introducing this to them. So in that regards, just be smart about it. I'm not going to say yes or no. Tell you what, ask Brad on the founders call and let's see what Brad has to say about it. So if anybody has a question right now that hasn't been asked already, there's a little raise your hand button and then I can actually unmute you. If you have any feedback for this at all, I mean, we're right at an hour, or we got a few minutes left before the hour's up. So if anybody has anything, any input, something that maybe Laura, that you have used that works well for you, or if somebody has a question in regards to any of this, please raise your hand and let's unmute you and hear what you got. And if not, that's fine with me too. So I'll give you a minute or 30 seconds or so to find the hand button so I can unmute you. And I hope you guys found this valuable. There's a lot of information that is recorded, so you can go back and listen to this again and again. I will send the recording to Laura Ruckel, and I will post it on our team page as well, so anybody can get access to it. If there's somebody from Europe that's not in one of our two teams listening to this, then get it from Sarah Smuz. All right, we'll get it to her. You can get it from there. Oh, Laura, thank you. All right, allow to talk. Here you go, Laura.
Hey guys.
Good day.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good. I just wanted to come on and just tell you did a fantastic job. Listen all the way through, and that was some really, really good information. I think a lot of people need to hear that. Even if they're not on here, they definitely need to listen to this recording, and I'll be posting that in my team groups for sure. And just appreciate you taking your time out today to give this valuable information to all of us. And if I had to add anything at all, I didn't really need to because you did so amazing. If I say that I caught anything, it would be when you were talking about when they introduce on the three-way call, when they introduce the upline and then they're to be quiet, like to hush, just make sure that they hit the mute button on their end so that there's not any background noises at all, like if their dog barks or something like that.
Exactly.
So just make sure they hit the mute button on their phone and just let the upline talk away, and the upline will give the key, you know, when they're done with the conversation. They'll let you know when it's your time to kind of take over and that they're going to back away. So Awesome, Guy. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. And before you go, what are some of the, I don't want to call it a pet peeve, but some things that have happened during a three-way call with you that maybe has derailed it and didn't make the three-way call? Oh, I forgot one other thing. Oh, really important. But think about that real quick while I cover this, and then you know, something that's kind of derailed a three-way call in the past. This is super important, and I can't believe I forgot to put it in the slides. Just as Laura said, the upline is going to key in when this conversation's ending. And when the upline does that, you end this conversation. All right. You do not buy it back. In other words, you don't get in there and start telling all your philosophy about what you know and all this. You totally take away this entire three-way call we just spent doing. This happens a lot amongst people that just don't know any better. They just don't understand this process of what we're doing. And the next thing you know, they buy it back and the person ends up doing nothing when Sarah or the upline had them closed with a pro pack. So it's called buying back. You never, ever want to do that. When the conversation's over, it's over. When you call them back, you're moving them forward. You don't go back over the previous conversation unless they raise a question about it. All right. Very important. Okay. Go ahead, Laura.
You pretty much took the words out of my mouth, Guy. That's what I was going to say was, when people, even though we've ended the conversation, they kind of like start telling their knowledge about what, well, this is what I found out with the way I, this is how I do it, or, this is what's been working for me, or, you never want to do that. Even if you think it's better than what the upline said, you never want to do that. You never want to give them your knowledge right then. Save that for later. Save that after they sign up. And even when you get off the phone with the upline and you call back that prospect, only uplift the upline and what they said. Only edify them even more. Like, wasn't that fantastic? I know you're ready to get started now. Always keep it on the upbeat, or, yeah, or what did you like best? That type of thing, rather than calling them and saying, well, she should have said, or
Yeah.
I probably would have said it like this, or never, ever do that to your upline.
And people do. So that's why we're having this training. So
Yeah.
now you're in the know not to do that. And thank you so much for sharing. I heard you in the
You're
background there, Ron. So hello, Ron. Good to have you on here too.
He's waving like you can see him.
All right, everybody. Well, again, I hope you got something out of this. Share this with your team members. Any feedback, feel free. If you want to know that other sheet, send me an email. I'll be happy to email that out to you as well. And with that being said, happy Saturday.